Hello, welcome back to part 22 in the Hearts of Iron 4 tutorial 2024. I realise it's been a while since I did the last episode, part 21. Before I get copyrighted, let's just get rid of the music. So I'm not going to bore you with it all, but basically I did part 21 and then there was that big update to Hearts of Iron. I had to start all over again. So I put out word, hey, if anybody's got the updated version, please get in touch. Now, somebody did, so a huge shout out to German Stuart. However, in between them reaching out to me and all of that difficulty, I began to feel really unwell. It was in about a week, a 10-day period, and actually really unwell. I couldn't do anything, and so that's why there's been so much radio silence on the channel. But I'm back. So a huge shout out to German Stuart. It is his copy of this save game that's enabling me to continue. So his game, assuming, which is what you see on screen here, is where we're going to continue. He got up to about 15 or 20 minutes away from the end of part 21. So I'm going to continue the tutorial from where you see here. So not everything may be 100% versus my last video, but it will be exactly, let's say 99% where we were at. So hopefully we can continue. The date here is the 13th of June, 1940. So thank you very much for everybody that offered to help. It was German Stuart's game who sent me the most precise copy and in a way that I could use. So I've already contacted him. He'll be getting his... I did offer a little bit of money to whoever... Well, I didn't offer the money. I offered whoever a game on Steam, basically, up to the value of €50 or $50, you know, whichever country they're in, or £40. So yeah, so that's enough of that. So let's crack on. So at the end of episode 21, we'd basically got the whole central swath of Europe. We'd also, I've got to remember not to use my WASD keys. We'd also got Sweden up here, thinking about Norway, thinking about the UK. So the next part, what we need to do now is invade Norway. Now here we've got a available war goal, so that's where we're at, and that is to do with Norway. So we'd already justified. Now this expires on the 30th of July. We're on the 13th of June, so I've got about 40 days to prepare for this. Now I could kick off straight away. The reason I'm not going to is because we need to get our armies up here in somewhat of a cohesive front. So let's see who we've got. Stop using WASD. We've got Rommel here, so he's to be used. We've got Bork. And it's Heinz Guderian. Guderian, should I say. Guderian. So there we go. Just think Guderian. In any case, it's all under the Field Marshal from Army Group 1. So let's... What I'm going to do... I could ask the Field Marshal to do the attack, but seeing as we are now on episode 22, let's see if we can get this a little more precise. So let's deselect everything there, and let's start with Rommel, and we'll get him near Oslo. So this guy's job is going to be to cover the front here. So Z key, right click, drag. So not just right click, but right click, drag. And we'll give here Rommel this area. And his job is going to be make a beeline straight for Oslo. We'll make sure we cover the area. I think like that will be pretty good. That's Rommel's first job. From there then, we'll continue Rommel down here. Guderian, he's the other armoured guy. Now, it makes sense to be somewhat near the supply because, of course, Panzers require supply more so than infantry because, you know, they're going to be advancing and they use more supply. So to double check that, I'm just going to come over to the F4 view just to see where my supply is. And actually, there's a good supply point here near Narvik. So this will be a great opportunity for Guderian to push there. I realize it's through the mountains, which isn't the best at all for Panzers. It's actually going to really slow the Panzers down. But as you can see here, Narvik is so close. It's only one tile. There's only 1 or 2 tiles to do. And we do get another supply depot, not least a naval yard as well. So this will be really important for supply. We've also got an airbase here, which will be really important to get, especially once we've got supply on that airfield. This will really help us. So I'm going to get Guderian. His objective is, and again, Z, right-click, drag. Can we continue? Yeah, let's not go yellow. There we go. And we'll press X. And we will order. Do you know what? I'm gonna risk it. Let's go for the yellow. There we go. I want that tile there. There we go. That's kind of what I want him to do. And then Bok with his infantry. These we will just be lazy. We'll press Z, and we're going to left click and assign the entire front line. So these are going to fill in not just the gaps, but they're also going to back up where our panzers are, and they're going to push forward. So Bok's orders will keep him on aggressive. If we press X, is just going to be to push. If I use the arrow keys, just to push to the edge of the country, something like that. Okay. Right, so let's press escape. I'm just going to check that these are all on aggressive. Yes. Bok, yes. Guderian, yes. Not always the way to go, but sometimes it is if you either need to finish something a bit more quickly or if the terrain's less than ideal. And there's a lot of mountainous regions in Norway, so that's less than ideal. Again, we've got 40 days to prepare, so before we unpause, if we come over to the F4, just checking, yes, we do have our connection through there. That's great. Making sure we've got as many supplies through here as is possible. Brilliant. If we come over to the Air Force page, F3, yep, we've got lots of air in the area. And airport-wise, I think we could afford to upgrade this. So if we come across to the air base page, Airfields build or upgrade really quite quickly versus many other things, and because we need a lot of air for this attack, it's a great opportunity to do just that. So let's put one airbase there, and I'm going to shift and click on the up arrow because again we want these top priority. Again, they build nice and quickly, but we need these air bases ready for the attack. So we'll put one airbase there. We'll upgrade this from a level 3. Oh, we don't want them all. That's my bad. Just the one. There we go. So just one upgrade there. And I think because we've got... Let's put a couple of airbase upgrades at the very top there. And once again, we'll put these to the top of the queue. There we go. I could have pressed Control and click and they'd have gone straight to the top of the queue, but, you know, it's just a different way of doing it. There we go. So, air bases, they're going to, of course, take the aircraft, which will help support our attacks. So, that's there. So, the only other thing I'm going to do is go through these notifications. No template. That's because we are producing the medium tank and we don't yet have any templates for them. Army experience is not really enough to yet build that. We've got plenty of air experience here. And again, if you've got over 100 experience points for your air, that's always a good opportunity to get these upgrades in. So because we don't really do much strategic bombing as Germany, at least the way that I play, I typically go for this upgrade last, which is what's gone on here. I realize this is a strategic bombing update as well, but of course we've got to go through this one to get through this one. So let's bag ourselves this. We have an update. We've actually got a cost reduction on this last one. Forward interception, look at that, 25% off. And so that is going to get us to the end of that tree. And again, if you're not quite there yet, don't worry about it. Just progress to the end as and when you can. Of course, once we've got spare points, I will also fill this middle one in as well. Okay. Right, let's go back to the main view, or F1. Let's carry on through here. Unread naval results, so just from battles that have been going on. You can, of course, click on each one of these individually, get the results and see what's gone on. I like to hover over this tooltip, and again, as long as you've got more green than red, and there absolutely everything is green, so that means we're doing the killing and not really losing. That's great. I'm going to right click on that icon just to get rid of all of those notifications rather than going around each one individually. Decisions are available. We've actually got so much political power here. Let's go through some of this. So everybody there is all good. Let's have a look at the decisions to make. So stability 70%, war support 88%. And remember, stability, basically the higher this is, the better. If it goes down, you start to struggle with different aspects of running the country. War support, clearly you need that higher. If you get that low and you try and push your country into war, you will struggle with it, and sometimes even the game mechanics will actively prevent you from being able to do certain things without a certain amount of war support. So again, always worth getting these higher. I'm trying to think if there probably is an example of a country somewhere where you don't want lots of war support, but it would be a fringe example. Generally speaking, you want always stability, always war support. And Germany actually has good all-round stats here. Some countries you'll really struggle to get these stats going. So I don't think we need to spend much here. These are all war support, which we've actually pretty good at the minute. You can see here, if we were emergency factory conversion, so this is actually converting civilian factories over to military, and that's obviously a very quick way to get, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 military factories straight away from civilian factories. But you can see it's going to cost on the war support and base stability. So it's, in an emergency, you need 5 more factories producing guns, and you need them now. As long as you've got the experience, okay, but you can see it's a negative stat. So I generally try and avoid that if at all possible. Institute press censorship. Now, I'm only going to go with this because we've got loads of political powers. You see in this case it's 1200 and odd. So what this enables to do is for 360 days we get this little trickle in the benefit of fascism at the expense of everybody else. Now if we have a quick look at where we're at, this is where we're currently at, 61% in favor of fascism. You see there's a 22% for the red, which is communist, and a 16% for the democratic there in blue. It doesn't appear that we have any non-aligned. So in order to expand the amount of fascism, and again, this is going to assist in things like stability, you know, and if you're a communist country, you want more communism. If you're a democratic country, you want more democracy. You know, it's just the way of the cookie crumbles, unless you're trying to completely change the system, which is, of course, possible as well. So we're going to get that on the go, and that's going to take 150 political power to do. And again, that's going to trickle in our favor. Anything over here? So again, this one here, a negative impact on the old war support as well as the stability. All that it does is add 1 building slot. Not even the building, just the slot. And so we refresh ourselves what that is. If we come over to construction, let's say we want to build a new civilian factory. See, like here, Franken, it's 11 out of 11. So 11 buildings on 11 building slots. So if we were to up that 11 out of 12, that would be 1 building slot new. and then we build a new building. Now you can see there, again, that has a negative impact. Now if we take a look at this one, region-wide industrial integration, that doesn't come with a negative impact, and that's because, as you see here, it costs twice the political power. Because we're playing on easy mode or civilian mode, we've actually got loads of political power. So let's go ahead, pop that in, and where's that going to go? Oberbayern. So again, let's just have a quick look so we can verify this. Here's Oberbayern. You can see there's 13 slots. There's currently 12 factories there. There's another one actively being built, but 13's the total. So if we come to the decisions and accept that for 100 political power, in theory, there we go. Now it's out of 40. We've got that additional slot there. Of course, we can put in there whatever we will, which we'll worry about shortly. Let's have a little look. What else? Dismantling Majno lines as well as the Czechoslovakian forts. So this is an option that I very rarely use. Basically, what it lets you do is the Czechoslovakia there that have their forts and the Majno line between what was the German-French border right around here. By what we can basically do is dismantle the stuff and I guess insofar as the game goes, put it on a railway and send it to somewhere else where we're trying to build up a wall. Because we're not actively trying to do that, I'm not going to concern myself with it. But if we did want to do that, I would enable this. What you've got to note there is, and if you take a look at the stats, it's only effective for 180 days, so half a year. So if you want to build up your defenses somewhere, start building now, enable this option, and then for 6 months you've got this bonus speed with how quickly you can build up your stuff. But I don't want one. Sometimes if I think, oh, Russia's going to declare on me, and I trying to just think of some alternative history route, I may build a nice wall along here to prevent them from being able to attack me so easily. You know, by wall, I just mean forts that make it harder for them to attack. And then I might try it, but that's all. Give Himmler field commands. That just basically gives us an extra field marshal. Himmler, out of all the field marshals, is going to be the worst, but at least we have an extra one. And permit SS recruitment. So as in real life, Germany, once they went into an area, after a little while, they would put up, once they'd been there for a year or so generally, they would start putting up posters saying, hey, come join the SS, and, provided they were young and fit, and they went, and they were interviewed, and they seemed to pass the not going to cause us trouble test, however you would test for that. I don't know. They would look at, I don't know how things were done before computers and all, but I'm sure they had their ways to check up on people's history and who the family was connected to or whatever else. But providing people passed that, they joined, and they did. Read an interesting couple of memoirs from such people, one from France and one from, I forget which, might have been Holland, who joined Germany and fought primarily on the Eastern Front, as many of them did later on in the war. Anyway, I'm going off course from the tutorial there. Let's get back onto it. Paramilitary training. If we take a look at this, it costs political power, not up front, but it actually gives it costs on the income. So they can see the daily political power cost. We lose half a political power point per day. Now we've got so much that doesn't matter. But by enabling the training in these countries, so these are countries that we now control, by enabling training there, you can see what happens. But basically, it's going to improve that country's fascism support. So that's going to make them a little bit easier each time to control. The more and more we can get them in our round to our point of view, if you like. So because we've got so much political power as a novice player, I don't see there ever a reason not to enable these, providing we've got everything else covered. That's going to happen for 120 days, and in many cases we can do it again and again and again. And sometimes they even end up giving us simple divisions, which of course translates into field power, numbers of men we have. So I think that about covers it. So let's unpause the game. We're on level 4. We watch everybody moving into position. I'll just quickly check out F2. Research finished for the new plane, so let's pause. And so once you've obtained that, let's have a look. The Focke-Wulf has been researched. Clearly, this is better than the Messerschmitt 109. Now, I'm aware in real life, they just kept upgrading the Messerschmitt through the different variants, and same with all the aircraft. So it wasn't just a Messerschmitt became a Focke-Wulf. It was, there was all the different variants right up and including until the end of the war. I think it went all the way up to the 109 variant K. So you had your Messerschmitt 109A, 109B, all the way up to K. And they got better and better, just like the Spitfire Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. So it's simplified in the base game of Hearts of Iron, but of course you can get one of the DLC that lets you get all creative with the aircraft design. We're of course playing without mods. So for us it's just a straight trade from the 109 up to the Focke-Wulf 190, which is, to all intents and purposes, the better fighter. And again, if I just click Shift and Shift, the older aircraft on the left, the newer on the right, you can see in the most basic term, we go from a 700 kilometer range up to 1,000. That's a massive improvement. Air defense goes up from a 10 to a 12, so it can take a hit or two more before going down. Agility goes up from 50 to 71. Maximum speed goes from 500 to 715. I think in real life the changes weren't quite as astronomical, but again, we're just watering things down. Air attack goes up from an 18 to a 27. So where you look when it comes to air-to-air stuff, this is a net gain. The exception is, of course, production cost. It costs 24 industrial capacity to build one of these. It costs 26 to build one of these. So at the end of the day, you maybe get 12 of these aircraft out the factory. The same factory would be able to produce 11 of these once their skill is, once the production, what do you call it? It's the experience of producing the same thing, once that's up to par. But, you get 12 of these for 11 of these, but when you look at all the stats, this far outweighs that minor inconvenience. It's not even 10%, is it? It's more like a 9% increase in cost. So we've got one more research slot open. That's this one here, because it's just completed. And I'm almost thinking about getting the middle bomber there, because we've got a cost reduction bonus for it. Another hugely important aircraft for Germany is the torpedo bomber. And again, because we're light on navy, and this really helps to offset that sum. Let's just have a quick look what else we may use that might be more urgent in the short term. Everything there looks good. Armor-wise, everything there looks good. Artillery-wise, we're all there. Cruiser is being researched. Sub, we've got battleships and so on. We're leaving for now, so we may well end up getting something like that. Engineering, radars ahead of time, and on the industry, that's all somewhat ahead of time as well. So yes, indeed, I think we'll go with the middle bomber just because we have the bonus there. Take advantage of that. Okay. Looks like this aircraft here is almost finished researching as well. We'll put that in with the torpedo bomber. So because we now have the new technology unlocked, we get this old chestnut again. Outdated equipment is in production, the Messerschmitt 109. So I'm going to left click on this to come straight to the production menu. Scroll down, find myself the 109. And we get that little arrow to indicate it's out of date. I'm going to left click on that and ask them to produce the new fighter. And again, because it's the factories, if you take a look here, are producing older style fighters, and now we're asking them to produce newer style fighters. They're going to lose a bit of experience, but not as much experience as, say, if we ask this factory to start producing transport planes. Because it's like, there's a bit of experience that's retained just because it's still a fighter, even though it's a different one. So you certainly don't want to chop and change if you can at all help it. So let's get the new fighter on. There we go. All right, and you see all of that experience there is basically down by half. So we're only getting 3 aircraft a day. But once we unpause, see that says 3.07. I'm just going to unpause. 3.09 a day, 3.10 a day, 3.12 and so on, and that's because each passing day, once again, the experience here is increased. It was 49 point summit, now it's 50.4, and that's going to go up and up and up every single day. And that's why it's so critical not to chop and change what factories are doing. Don't just think, oh, I've got loads of factories, I can chop and change and produce anything. No, because right now our factories are basically operating at half strength. So we've got 25 factories that are behaving like we've got 12, maybe 13 factories. Same with these Panzers here. Okay, just a quick look at the air. How are we doing? We've got plenty of aircraft covering Western Germany. I'm going to quick look on the F1. Yeah, we've got infantry protecting the coastline. I'm just going to bring some of these aircraft. Let's set him to normal. And I'm just going to cover the northern French coast air superiority. And the reason is because I've got troops there. I don't want my troops getting bombed. So that's that guy. Escape. This guy here. He can stay on no retreat. We'll send him to that big airbase just near southern Paris. And again, covering that area. Okay. Unpause. Pause. They fly to their respective areas. We've got the new cover there. So we still have 600 fighters covering this area. I'm just going to grab one of them. They can fly to this base to cover eastern Germany. And then I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 more of these fighter wings and get them up here ready for the attack. I'll tell you what, we'll give 1 fighter wing to Rommel, this fighter wing to Bock, this fighter wing to Guderian. There we go. And then they can distribute them as they see fit. On the 22nd of June, that research has completed for the close air support. So we'll get working on the torpedo bomber. Okay. And once again, old equipment is in production. The old close air support, the Ju-87, that's going to be replaced by this one here. Which I think had the cannon on it versus the bomb, if memory serves. Okay. Speaking of aircraft, it looks like we might be able to recruit some more guys just before we unpause. So let's take a look at East Berlin, or Berlin should I say. All of these guys that were in training, they've all got the Silver Star, you know, the level 3. So we'll cancel their training. I'm going to set them to air superiority. And again, the first guy over to Rommel, the second guy to Bock, or the second fighter wing, should I say, the third fighter wing over to Guderian. There we go. Now let's add new wings into this base. So we've got 100 fighters there that are ready to go. We've got some older fighters as well. Let's recruit them. That should hopefully stabilize. Let's recruit them as well. So there we go. 3 fighter wings. Do we have any else? We've got 1 interwar bombers. So the medium-sized bombers. We've got 101. It's unclear if we've got any others. But let's recruit those. And we'll also recruit the close air support. We've got 115. Don't yet have enough of anybody else. And remember, we don't need to train transport aircraft for whatever reason, I don't know. Okay. Let's hit escape. Let's unpause. All the aircrafts there. Pause. Let's come back to this base. So these aircraft, they haven't dispatched Berlin, even though we've asked them to work for these generals, because even though the generals are up in Sweden, because we've not told the generals to attack as of yet, we've just said to line up. For some reason, the game doesn't bring the aircraft up into position until they're actively needed. I do wish that the aircraft would just loosely try and follow the generals around, even if they're not actively engaged in combat. But for whatever reason, that's not the case. So being sure that we don't select these guys again for training, I'm going to just select these here that are yet untrained. These wings, we've got 5 wings there, and we'll start their training off. That gets rid of that message. I'm just wondering now, is there anything to be gained by waiting any further before this attack into Norway? I don't think there is, so I'm going to slow time down to just the slowest speed. What do we have here? Low supplies. I'm just thinking, is there anything we can do to offset that? Yes, there is. Remember, we've got all of those transport aircrafts that we're not using. Let's get those into use. So F3 to get to the air page. We now need to find an air base that is near the front line, that has good supply, that can take, is in range therefore, that can take supplies and drop them to where's needed. And I believe it. Hang on, don't tell me that this doesn't work. Let me just see. I seem to think actually this might. Although there is an air supply option, let's have a look. So this airbase here, if we come to the F4 menu, is in good supply. Again, it's blue, blue's good, okay? So let's come to the F3. Click on the airbase. We're going to add a new air wing, and we're going to come down to the transport plane. We've got 137, which is great. Okay. So the transports, and it is going to work fantastic. So we've got 100 aircraft that are making their way to that base. Once they get there, we need to click this icon here. So I'm just going to do it now. They'll do it as soon as they get there. Air supply. Notice, for whatever reason in this game, it actually costs a little bit of command power to use air supply drops. I don't know why. Now that's this one here, command power. So we've got 90, so we've got plenty. So let's go ahead and activate that. See, it's now dropped down to 85. So you can only have so many supply drops on the go ever, because you just run out of command power. We then need to tell him, well, where do you want to drop the supply? Well, if we zoom in here without changing anything, see this area here, 3.7, it's in the red. That means they're short on supply by 3.7 units, however they measure it. So we're going to right click onto this area so that the transport aircraft is set up at this base. We've told it to drop supplies. We've told it to put supplies into this area. Let's unpause. We'll speed up to, 2 bars will do. Let's see how long it takes them to get there. Deploying. It's apparently 40% done. 50. Let's increase time just a little bit. 70, 80, 90. And there they go. They're now supplying this area. And apparently air supply mission efficiency is 85%. So hopefully now these guys will begin to get supplied. And there you see there is still a supply deficit, but it's not quite as bad as it was before. So ideally we would get yet another transport wing over here, but we don't really have enough. That's going to be good enough for me. It's the 29th of June. I'm going to pause. Let's see what abilities we've got here for Rommel. Guerrilla fighter, again, not really what I want for a Panzer guy. Is it the same for Guderian? Yes, it is. So again, I'm going to ignore those. I think this is good enough to go. So let's Unassigned divisions. Let's just press shift. Whoa, we've got loads there. Let's assign all of these to our training army. Speaking of training army, I'll tell you what, he's got motorized. We've got 2 motorized divisions that are ready. I'm going to give 2 of these each to my Panzer generals, because again, they're very useful. Aside from the tanks, is the motorized and later the mechanized army. So with these 2, I'm going to give them to Rommel, and that's going to bolster what he can do. Let's hit escape to make sure we get nothing wrong. Get the other motorized up to Guderian. Now, clearly, it's going to take a little time for these motorized divisions to get into position, so we're definitely going to wait for that. There are 2 Panzer divisions training. They're not yet ready, but you know what? I think it would be beneficial, even though that they're not a Silver Star. They are trained. I'm going to send them regardless. So I'm going to give 1 division to Rommel. And I realise that gives them an odd number. And the other division over to Guderian. There we go. Right, training. Who else? We've got some anti-tanks. So where do we have commanders that are not yet full? This guy here, Leipzig. He's got divisions. Manstein. I think I'm going to put Manstein over with this field marshal and just have him help shore up the defense at Mermel there. There we go. I say defense. He'll be looking to attack potentially. That is all.
Angetreten.
These guys have got... Actually, all of these divisions could do with a little extra training. You see, they're very, very close, but they're not quite on the Silver Star. So I'll bring these over here. But in return, the divisions that are ready will send back. I realise there's a lot of anti-tanks divisions there. Anti-tank divisions require a little bit of micro, generally speaking, so we'll just sprinkle them in lightly with some of these general. They're a difficult type of template to use unless you really are being careful, because up against ordinary infantry divisions, obviously the anti-tank divisions fare less well, but again, versus tanks, they're obviously better suited. So it's a case of trying to line them up versus enemy tanks if you see them. It's a nightmare. I got to admit, I don't really like using them as much as I once thought I did.
All right.
There we go. We'll send them down there. All right. Let's carry on then. Unpause. I'm going to zoom in at this zoom just so I can watch these motorized divisions coming to the north, getting into position. In fact, if we select Guderian, we can see all of his units moving up here. Let's speed up time to the 3rd level. Let's go level 4. It is, of course, important to wait for them to get into position. Bearing in mind, we need to declare war before the end of July, but it looks like we're going to have plenty of time. Fall of Cairo. Right, there we go. So they're all into position, so I'm going to pause. It's the 12th of July, 4 o'clock. I'm good to slow time down to the minimum, and I'm good to declare war against Norway. There we go. May as well call the Allies. Why not? Not necessarily that they're going to send anything to help out, because I think they'll be pretty much embroiled elsewhere, but we may as well have them on side. We've declared war. We're still paused. The generals have their orders, so let's tell them to go. New unassigned divisions, so once again, shift, click, get them all. Oh yeah, this is the sort of cheapo-ish defense army. You know, these are just sort of the guards. Just so we've got something there against areas that we don't expect there to be an attack. We don't want to leave it wide open and risk getting encircled really easily. So we're going to We're going to train these guys. Now you see our general now, who's in charge of training, he's actually got too many divisions that he can't command them all effectively. So some of these that have since gotten up to the Silver Star, let's send them off to over there. There we go. Can we find one more division to go with this guy? Yes, we can. Just so he's got even number. Same with this guy down there. Actually, the border with Yugoslavia, I don't anticipate there being much bother. At least not yet. So let's pull 3 of these divisions off, and then he's still got 12.
Achtung!
And divisions that are fully trained. Let's send them to this guy. All right, he's guarding northern Germany.
Achtung!
Okay.
Achtung!
He's over there. All right. Everything's set. Let's unpause. Norway joins the Allies, of course, being neutral until now. Let's select Rommel because he's down here. And I think now is a good opportunity to do a little bit of micro that we've perhaps not done before. So rather than just letting this battle unfold, which we can, of course, do, we're going to look for opportunities with units, and we're not going to necessarily control soldiers, but certainly tanks and motorized units. We're going to, every time there's an opportunity, we're going to see if we can move them in. Remember to use shift to queue orders and right click to give orders to move. So with these two selected here, and I'm aware it's going to differ a bit on yours, but what I'm trying to do is queue some orders to just get straight in there as quickly as possible. Again, once enemy forces are on the retreat, they're disorganized anyway, so it's a great opportunity to just keep pushing through.
Ausrücken!
Just turn the sound down a tiny bit there. And again, they're a little short on supply, but once we get Oslo, we of course get access to the port immediately, and with it, our supply issues will be solved. These guys look like they're about to overrun this tile, so again, we'll queue up orders. Same with these guys. Escape. Let's pick up the pace to 2 bars. Once we take this tile, you see it's very nearly, so is Oslo. Whoever falls first, so let's just pause there. I'm going to take this Panzer and actually redirect him directly towards Oslo just to assist in the capture of this town. Get an airbase there as well, which is great. And then he can continue on once he's got that. There we go. We've got Oslo, and with it the supply. And as soon as all the divisions get that new supply, you can see immediately it's like a new lease of life, and they'll springboard on. I'm going to take these 2 Panzers here. Okay, once he's gone there, let's right click, and I'm just going to chase them all the way along the coastal line here. We get not only access to all these cities, which obviously contribute massively towards the victory, but also all of the ports, which are good for us because it gives us supply, but it also denies the enemy supply as well. So it's important for multiple reasons. And again, that's these 2 divisions here. You see they're short on supply, they capture it, and boom, supply problems are solved. Got these motorized divisions. Let's get them cutting across. Let's get this guy mopping up. Let's have a quick look how things are going up here. Fantastic. Okay, yeah, finish that off. Now go this way. Actually motorized. Whoa, go there. Come on, there's a port right there. We need that port area. Come on, we've got a division there. Just bag the port because we need it for supply. I'm kind of surprised he didn't go there anyway. Things looking much better up here. There's a bit of a... We've got an encirclement with a few enemy units there. Exactly how many is not clear, but we've got them cut off. Let's get these guys moving further north. The target is up there. And there we go. Pause. Norway's capitulated, and that's because even though we didn't capture all the land, we got many of the key city areas, and once you get enough of the, the populated areas, that's it. A bunch of stuff there. All good. Especially, well, it's all good, isn't it? The guns, the trains, whatever. Even if a lot of it's dated stuff, it's still stuff that we can use, especially if we run short. Now, some of the factories, it appears that we've got use of. I recommend, well, for sure we've got a tiny border there with Russia. Absolutely, we need to put soldiers there. Sometimes not. Finland may or may not join the Allies, may or may not buddy up with Russia as well, who, sometimes these two have a go at each other. Well, they usually, following history, they do have a go at each other, but sometimes one and or the other may turn on us. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not always both. So it's we need a few guys holding the line here. Definitely some guys holding Russia. If at all possible, we want to hold on to this port. And this is potentially a good road into Russia. Not necessarily worth putting my best generals up there. So training guy... Let's pick 3 of our better divisions together with 1, 2. I need a 3rd ideally. None of them are ready yet. So let's just pick... let's just go for this guy. We'll create a new division. So we've got 4 good divisions there. 2 cheaper ones. Create a new army, pick a commander, and again, I'm looking for somebody that's reasonable at defense. What about this guy, this Reinhardt's guy? Okay. I'm going to assign him with Army Group 2 by right-clicking, and he's going to be on defense here. Supply, let's set him to Truck Mark 2. Now we need to do the similar sort of thing here with Finland. Unfortunately, nobody's quite ready yet, but what I do want to do is at least let's put some guys there and then we'll rotate them round once we've got more suitable guys. So I'm going to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Let's get them here. Once again, looking for somebody that's reasonable at defense, that doesn't take too much from the offense away. Let's go for Steiner. I realize he's, but let's just go for him. Once again, I'm going to set him with this guy, Army Group 2, Z, and just lazily click. There we go. All right. He is going to require, I think, motorization 3, because some of these points are a bit too far away from a supply point. We could potentially build a new harbour there. Don't think it's something we've done. To do that, we build a naval base, not a naval dockyard. Remember, naval dockyard produces ships. A naval base is just simply a place to bring both supply and potentially repair ships as well. So if we build one of those, and we see this whole area here is red, indicating poor level of supply. We've got a base here. We've got a base here. Let's put one somewhere in the middle. Again, it's got to touch clearly the coastline. We can't build it there, for example. So let's go halfway. I'm going to pick this tile here. Let's right click. Let's go for that tile. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay. Now, one other thing that we can do now we've got this area is just connect it up with rail. I know a lot of players don't, but I like to connect rail up to my supply where possible. So we'll do that and go from there. And again, I'm careful not to go all higgledy-piggledy because it's going to cost me, goodness knows what to put all that rail down. I'm going to try and go as direct as I can with the most suitable tiles as possible. So there we go. Left click, and then same again. Left click. There we go. All right, and that collects those up. Now, clearly, if the enemy here pushes forward here, they're going to break that rail connection off. You know, it is what it is. So we hope that doesn't happen. Not that this is top priority, but it's something that we want. And we've got so much production that that shouldn't take too long to get to the top of the list. All right, that's all good. The actual armies that were responsible for the attack have completed their mission. We're at 50 minutes time. These we're going to bring down now because it's getting close to Operation Sea Lion. We're July 1940. So these are going to be brought down, and we'll see if we can't come across to the UK. So I'm not going to come across from Norway. I think I'm going to have everything here on the French coast. What we want to do, though, before we issue the order to attack, is at least get the divisions ready. So Rommel, let's get him to, let's say, this area here near, let's go for Dunkirk. There we go. So I'm just using the guard. Bok, guard. He can guard Dieppe there. And Guderian guards. And that's the same spot as well. What about there? There we go. Amiens, is it? There we go, in any case. Alright, escape. Once we unpause, they're going to swing round, which is what we want. We've also got free military factories to deal with. We need more stuff. Also got research slot available. Let's get these squared away with first. So all of that is ahead of time. Tell you what, let's go for the upgraded train. These are a... Does that actually say anything there? I believe they're more reliable, but they are more resistant to attacks from the air. We will get attacked from the air from time to time, no matter who it is. It makes sense to build trains that are better able to resist that. So let's research that. Production cost 50. Production. Okay, so it would appear that the only difference in this version of the game is they're cheaper to produce. It's still every bit as vulnerable as a regular train, but can be more easily replaced. Okay, take back what I just said. It's actually, if you've got the DLC, I'm not sure which one. I will do a video on it at some point. You can build a train that's more heavily armored so that they're less vulnerable to attack. I actually think this is a pointless upgrade, seeing as trains are already pretty cheap. And we keep gaining trains every time we take over a new area. So let's leave that. Let's have a little look. Tank. You can enable these. So it's something we've not looked at yet. It does make for a more complicated game. But as you can see, there's like a standard medium tank. There's a standard light tank. There's a standard heavy tank. And even a super heavy. But within these tanks, there are different variants. So as a medium tank, a medium weight tank, you've got this here, the Stug 3. So this is a tank that specializes in going after other tanks. This one here is a tank that specializes going after infantry. And this here is a tank that specializes going after enemy aircraft. Now, the general tank is like a jack of all, and that's generally the way that I like to play. It's just an easier way to play. But if you really want to get proficient at it, you would produce anti-tank tanks and then just set them looking for enemy tanks. And, you know, you'd produce these guys that purely go after enemy infantry. It is more efficient to do it that way, but again, it takes a lot of micromanagement, so I just prefer going for the, you know, the jack of all. But, you know, if you're looking to get better than the way that I play, I strongly recommend using these. And of course, if you get the DLC, rather than getting these icons, you actually get to specifically design the tank in the way that you like. In any case. And that may sound really exciting, but at the end of the day, there's certain ways of doing it that's the quote best way of doing it, and so once you've sort of figured that out, you players typically end up doing the same thing every time. And so although the options are there, they're kind of, some options are become redundant because, oh well, that's not as good as that, so you may as well do that every time. So what's the point of using the not so good one? In any case, there's nothing there that we want. Artillery-wise, now we could research rockets. Now, rockets is not something that I always use, but because we've got the research bonuses, why not? And it's not just that enables us to use rockets as well as regular artillery. We also get to use rockets in other ways. So if you've got advanced aircraft, for example, this leads you into stuff like missiles. And again, I'm not sure if that's in this version of the game or not, but it's not just a case of, oh, well, you can fire rockets as well as artillery. There's more to it than that. So let's look at that. In fact, if we come back over here, you can see for the regular trucks, we've got this motorized rocket artillery, and you can see there it requires the Naval Warfare, as they're called, the rockets, in order to unlock this upgrade. So let's go for it. Naval Warfare. Boom. Everything else there still ahead of time. So let's have a look Navy-wise. Looks like the standard cruiser there, not a million miles away from being completed. Tell you what, let's go for this landing craft. So this here is hugely important. Now, I've done a tutorial previously outside of this series on invading the UK, but of course, you know, we're going to be doing that in the next episode. If you take a look at transports, this comes unlocked anyway with Germany. This here, naval invasion capacity plus 10. Now it starts at 0, so you've got 0 and the plus 10 is this, so it may as well just say 10. If we then take a look at this one, which is the upgrade, which is what we're going to go for, naval invasion preparation time minus 25%. So when you plan your invasion, it takes a certain amount of time. Many days, even weeks, just depends how many divisions you've got involved. This cuts back on that, so that's obviously good. Invasion defense plus 15. Well, what's that mean? Your soldiers that are in the ships are more protected in this version of the craft than they are here, by 15%. So as the coastal defenses open up, they're less likely to get injured. But the big one, naval invasion capacity plus 20. Remember, these are cumulative. So this starts with just 10. Actually means 10 divisions in total. This one is going to up it by 20. So research that. Will it be in time for invading the UK? I don't know. But I'm hoping, even if not, we can still pull off the invasion with 10 divisions. If we can't, you know, we'll give it a second go. It should be okay. 3 military factories, and I think once we get this done, that'll be a nice end to the episode. We're coming up to the hour. And so let's have a scroll through. And again, what we're looking for... Oh no, it's not something that's out of date. We've just got spare factories. So, logistics, what are we most short of? Actually, turns out, and it looks like we've got everything that we need. We've got lots of trains, 257. In fact, because we've got so many trains, if we're still producing trains, which we're not, that's okay. I was going to tell them to stop. So, the way to find out what we're most short of is to come over to the recruit menu. And I'm going to... recruit all of those Panzers now, so we'll press this one here. I realize they're not ready, but it's just, let's get them out there. Let's get all of these unassigned divisions with our training general. And then let's come over to the recruit menu. I won't mind some more motorized divisions. So let's get, I don't know, one time we'll put 4 divisions there. Panzer, one time on Brandenburg. 4 divisions. infantry 1 time. This is in addition to this group that's constantly repeating. We'll set these guys over at Hinterpommern 1 time. And let's get 6 divisions there. Okay. Panzer gets the high priority on the equipment. Unpause. And let's have a little look now on the old logistics. Do we run out of anything? There's midnight. Well, apparently not. I'm going to pause it though. What are we most short of? Actually looks like we've got a good supply of everything. So much so, look at all these light tanks. I'm thinking this could be a great opportunity to edit our Panzer divisions, and that'll be the end of the episode. So if we come over to our recruit menu, it's not something we've really looked at yet. We will go into more detail in a future episode, but if we take a look at the Panzer division here, we edit the template. This is what comprises a division of Panzers. And each one of these squares, if you remember, is a battalion. And in this case, battalion, if I were to add a new battalion of light tanks, take a look. It's going to go from 240 light tanks to 300. So a battalion of tanks, it would seem, is 60 tanks. So we've got 60, 120, 180, 240. We've also got 2 motorized divisions. All of that together with the support companies, form the division. It's important we recap there. Support company, we have motorized recon. So these are going to go out. What typically happens is you've got your tanks sort of in the middle, and then in all directions that fan out, and they do like these cloverleaf search patterns. That's generally what happens in all directions. You've got the motorized. Why? Because they move quicker, but also much cheaper. Yeah, in terms of fuel used, it's much cheaper to send a truck than it is a tank. And so they do these search patterns around the division, and then when they find something, they obviously radio in, and then the commander can choose to either engage the target or back off, depending on. We've got the engineers, the support artillery, and the signal company. So I don't really want to change that, or at least the support. I do want to make the Panzer divisions a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is add a battalion of tanks. So watch what happens to the combat width. Obviously, we know that's going to go to 14 because each battalion, generally speaking, is 2. If we take a look at all the stats across the board, pretty much bonuses everywhere. But look at organization. It goes from 33.6 down to 32.2. And remember, the organization is how effectively the division can fight. And when you run out of organization, the division is no longer able to fight. So it doesn't matter how many tanks you have. If they've got no organization, you may as well not have any. So we're going to add one of those. But we can increase the organization by increasing either infantry or motorized. Now, if we add infantry on, we're going to lose all the speed, because currently the speed that this division can move at is 12 kilometers an hour. It's always going to be limited by the slowest unit in the division. So if we add infantry division, you can see there that the speed drops to 4, and that's because, you know, the troops are going to slow it up. So we don't want to add troops. But we can add motorized. We've already got motorized infantry here. 2 battalions. Now, if we add a third, take a look at the organization. Goes from 32.2 up to 37.9. So if we just add these 2 battalions in, actually this is a massive bonus across the board. Obviously, this division is now more expensive to produce. We've got more tanks than ever before. We've got more trucks than ever before. We've got more people. They're going to use more fuel. You can see it's 7,700 men. Apparently the changes that we've made is an additional 1,700. But again, all of these stats are improved. So when we go head to head versus the enemy, there's, you know, we've got more a chance of defeating them, and they've got less of a chance of harming and potentially defeating us. So I'm going to save this. Now, because we're saving the existing template, not creating a new template, all the old templates, as in all the existing Panzer divisions, are now going to try and adjust to this new setup. So it's going to cost us, if you take a look there, 35,000 odd men. We've got 1 million available, so that's fine. It's going to cost 1,200 or 1,260 light tanks to fill all the divisions. We've got 4,000 available. It's going to cost 2,000 infantry equipment. We've got loads, and an additional 735 trucks. Now, we've only got 1,000 trucks available, so that's still okay, but trucks seems to be the thing that we're going to run out of first. So I'm going to okay that, and that's going to adjust all the tank divisions. And again, because, okay, you've got a trained tank division, but suddenly you've got 2 new battalions joining that are not trained because they're just newly in, the overall training of the division is going to suffer a little bit. So if we come to Rommel, these are actually highly experienced divisions. Let's have a look. Good area, and this is a great example. So see this division here, it's a Silver Star. It's currently short on supply. Why? Because we've just made these changes, and so there's an admin general, a staff officer there saying, well, hang on, we're 60 odd tanks short. We need another however many trucks. They're obviously not instantly there. It's going to take a time to get there. Once these trucks arrive at wherever this division is, in this case, it's all the way up there. So they will at some point meet while this division's on its way down. We'll see this brown bar, this reddish bar fill back up. As it does, the skill level will immediately drop because you've got the untrained soldiers now part of that division. So let's unpause and we'll witness that take place. Speed up time a little bit. Just keep an eye out on that graph as well as the skill level there. Speed up time a bit more. So they've currently got 77%. And there, look at that now. They've got 87%, so they got a load more of the stuff. And you see there the skill, it's no longer a Silver Star, but it's at the top end of the trained. And if we wait for it to get to 100%, I imagine this yellow bar will decrease just a little bit. We're now on the into August, and there we go. 100% strength, and there you see the yellow bar drops down. So that's to be expected and all makes sense. Escape. 3 military factories. We know that the trucks we're probably most short of, so I'm going to put 2 factories because we only had 2 pieces of rubber spare. Okay, let's pause. 3rd of August, 1 hour 7 minutes. I've gone over slightly. That's going to be the end of this episode. I do hope you enjoyed it. Remember to leave a like if you found it useful, and until next time, wherever in the world you may be, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.